Hi everyone, we're back. It's 2 o'clock. This is the Why Music Festival. I'm Nate Holder, and we have our guest here today, an incredible musician, incredible trumpet player, incredible guy, lovely guy as well. We only get cool people, great musicians, and amazing, just nice, genuine people on here. So give us a round of applause, please, for Jay Phelps, everybody. I know we can hear you. It's all right. We can hear you. We can hear you. How are you doing?
Very good, thank you. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. We've had an amazing day so far. I'm sure you'll
Wonderful.
agree if you've tuned in. We've spoken to some great musicians, and what one of the core things that have come up is like we're having different conversations with different people, but there's threads between all of them. You know what I mean?
Mm,
So whether it's finding your own voice, playing music that feels right to you,
mhm,
looking at the practicing side of things, thinking about what it is to music to take you places that you never thought it would take you to.
mhm.
It's been great, and so we're looking forward to hearing from you today.
Of course, definitely. It's fantastic to be here. Thank you so much for asking me to be here as well, Nate. It's a pleasure. It's a pleasure.
Of course, and I think one of the things I'll just tell everyone for free, right? One of the things that I really wanted to do when putting this on was just to, like I said before, bring people who are amazing what they do, but also very inspirational and who have stories to tell. Because I know for some of us, maybe as you're in school and you're trying to figure out music, and there's lots of, I said before, lots of dots and lines and lots of new words that are in different languages, and you're trying to figure it out. You speak to the professionals who are doing it now, and they'll tell you they went through all of that stuff, but where they are now, it was all worth it, right?
Mm,
And so could you just tell us a little bit more about yourself? We're really great for people to hear.
of
um
course. Well, first and foremost, my name is Jay Phelps, and I am a trumpet player by trade. Oh, it's a little blurry. I'm a trumpet player. I'm a creator, I'm a entrepreneur, I do many things, but trumpet is my main thing. And I don't know if you can tell, but I have a bit of an accent. So I come from Vancouver, British Columbia in Canada. And I have been in the UK since I was 17 years old, which was many moons ago now. But it's been an amazing journey here, and it's taken me many places actually around the world. Um, I always say that my trumpet and music is my passport to the world because I've been able to meet so many people of vast amounts of people from different cultures and different backgrounds who speak different languages. I've eaten so many different kinds of food, had lots of just great experiences around the world, and I owe that all to music. um, so that's what music has brought me. Apart from traveling, it's also brought me great joy because the spirit of music is such a strong spirit. They call it music, but I like to call it magic because actually music is very magical, and it reaches a certain part of us. I think that most other art forms don't reach. In fact, it's very universal, probably one of the most universal of all the art forms. And you'll know what I mean, everyone there listening. In time, in years to come, you'll learn more and more about music and see how it transforms not only yourself but those around you as well. So that's why I feel that music has been um, a big part of my life. I still get the goosebumps and hairs standing up on my arm when I hear a great song or a great melody or someone playing really well. It just transcends me to another place. So without it, I probably wouldn't be myself and be here today. But um, yeah. So I really feel that music has helped me and my journey. I've been able to make a lot of music myself, a lot of records. I've just put out, in fact, a new album just the other week, which is my seventh as a leader. And, it just keeps on. The journey keeps on. And this particular album is a very different style to a lot of the other things that I've done before. So as we say, music is a journey, you know, it takes you in different ways. I never would have thought that I would be making the music that I do now about 10 years ago. I never would have thought it, but that's the beauty of it, and that's the beauty of the creative mind as well, is that we're able to be free within music and let our creativity flow through us. So that's been part of my journey. And then obviously I came to the UK, and music has been just part of everything. And um, yeah, just wouldn't be myself without it.
Like, I'm curious because this is the Why Music Festival.
Mhm.
I have to ask the question. Well, why music? Like, what was there a moment? Was there something, did you see us a trumpet player? Was trumpet even your first instrument? Because we learned earlier,
Well,
for many of us, recorder was the first instrument that we played, right? And
right, right.
gone on to different things. So, yeah, what was it for you? Why has music been such a big part of your life?
Wow. It all started actually with a an art school that I went to, and that the parents from my local area when I was 11 years old. So I was 11 years old, and my mother heard that there was an art school that was about an hour's drive actually away from us, so quite far. And a few of the parents from the area had heard about this, and got together and said, okay, we'll form like a carpool system to get the kids out there. And there was a few of us who went out, and it was great because we actually learned music the year before the regular schools, and it gave us, the confidence that we needed, in fact, to go back to our school then with a skill. So when I went back to my school the year after, I had the skill, but the way that I actually found the trumpet is quite funny because there was a sheet that you had to get your parents to sign,
Mm.
and the sheet stated, which instrument you wanted to play, and if your parent signed it and brought it back, then you could choose that instrument. Well, in my case, I wanted to play the drums, and so I wrote drums down on the list on the sheet, and I went back home and I said, "Mom, can you please sign this?" And she looked at it and she said, "I don't think so." I think she said the reason why she didn't want me to play the drums was not just the sound of the drums, which can be really beautiful, but it was the fact that she wanted me to definitely learn how to read music, and said that maybe if I was a drummer, I wouldn't necessarily have been inspired to learn how to read music necessarily. So I went back to school and they gave me a new form to fill in, and there were two instruments left, and that was my instrument, the trumpet, and your instrument, Nate, the saxophone. And I looked at the two of them side by side, and I saw all the keys of the saxophone, and then I saw only three keys on the trumpet here, and I thought, you know what? That will be easier. And that's literally how I picked the trumpet, because I thought it might be a little bit easier. But lo and behold, it's a little bit more difficult, maybe, because we have
Yeah.
this mouthpiece here that is the only reed, and the lips are a reed. And so, yeah, every instrument has its own challenges, but the trumpet is definitely up there in the challenge level. So it enabled me to become a musician, and I think I practiced more than I probably would have practiced other instruments, because the trumpet is very difficult, and to master this instrument takes many hours and lots of time towards it. So that's my story of how I picked up the trumpet, and why music. I would actually say we had a Miles Davis album at home. Miles Davis is a very famous jazz musician. He's a trumpet player as well. And we had an album of his called Kinda Blue at home. This is the time when people still were listening to records. And luckily it's coming back now.
Yeah.
And we had some records, and that was one of them. And I used to, and before I even knew what transcribing was, I used to sit down and play the trumpet and play with Miles Davis. So that was sort of how I ended up in it myself
Wow,
and
thank
loving
you.
it.
Thank you for sharing that. I think anyone watching, outside of anything you said, right? Like even just that album is as far as I'm aware, like the biggest selling jazz album of all time, right?
It is. It is.
And so it's definitely something. If you've never listened to it before, I encourage you to check it out.
Mm.
Especially if you're a trumpet player, a drummer, a bass player, a saxophonist. There's two incredible saxophonists on there. Incredible bass. I mean, the whole band is just absolute legends. So if you're interested in getting into jazz or anything, or even just you enjoy listening to jazz, 100% go and check out that album. It'd be really great to hear actually about the trumpet itself, because
Mm-hmm.
so far today we've had recorder, we've looked at saxophone a little bit,
Mm-hmm.
but we haven't looked at trumpet. So it'd be really
Okay.
cool to see, like, just show us. Some kids maybe haven't seen a trumpet in real life.
Yes. Well, I'm trying to figure out whether it's going to be too loud or not, and maybe I can take the blur off of this because
Okay,
I think from your end it might be quite blurry. Give me 1 second to see if I know how to do that.
to be honest, I think if I were you, I would have. If I had a
Here we
choice,
go.
I didn't have a
Hey,
choice of the
and
trumpet.
that's me playing trumpet actually right there.
Oh, nice.
um this was in a jazz club in France, and I played there on my birthday many years ago, and I begged the guy to give me this poster, and he gave
That's
it to me,
awesome.
which was really nice. Okay, so this is the trumpet. So the trumpet has many different, I would say, angles in which it can be played. And much like any instrument, you have a very loud and brashy side. And you can have a
Could you
very
turn off the original sound or turn it on? Because it suppresses the sound, so we can't really hear you so well.
oh
It should
so
be in the
what
top left.
top left.
It should say original sound for musicians, and then if you put that on, and then we'll hear you clearly.
Okay, 1 second. Sorry about that.
No problem. See, kids, we're learning. Technology is changing and evolving. So we're changing and evolving, and we're learning. It's all right. That's one of the
um
amazing things about technology, especially over the last few years using Zoom, kids, is that now we're figuring out ways in which we can be on opposite sides of the world and play together. So technology still has some way, because if you notice, if I was to play and Jay was to play at the same time, the time because of how the technology is right now, it wouldn't be perfectly in time as if we were sitting in the same room. But slowly, as technology gets better, we'll be able to play. Jay will be in his house, I'll be in mine, you'll be in yours, and we'll be able to play perfectly in time together.
I hope so, yeah.
It will
I'm
happen
I'm
one day.
I'm still looking for this. Where are you saying it is?
If you hover over the top left, it should come up right in the corner.
The top left corner.
Yeah.
Hmm.
If not, it's no problem.
Let's see.
We can still hear some.
Let me see right here. 1 second. Audio. We're all learning, kids. We are all learning here. um,
I said earlier, if I had the choice, I didn't have a choice about the saxophone. Um, but if I had the choice, I probably would have done the same as Jay. I probably would have looked at the trumpet and looked at the saxophone and thought, ah, it's a bit smaller, lighter to carry. Only three fingers.
can you hear that? Is that different?
Yeah.
So what I was saying before is that there's many different permutations to an instrument and to music, in fact, and that means that you can play loud and high and brashy, or you can play very quiet and sweet,
Mm.
and that I believe that every instrument has that quality. Um, there's a tendency for people to think that the trumpet only can sound like that, which is one way, and that's a wonderful and brilliant way that it can sound. But it can also sound beautiful, like so. It can be many different ways that it can be played. But we can also play fast. Or you can play it without even touching the valve. You can also play it with just moving the lips really fast. So there's lots of different ways that it can be played, and it can also be played very emotionally. So there's lots of ways that the trumpet can be played.
Everyone give Jay a round of applause.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Oh, wait, one last thing.
Oh, yeah.
You can also stick a mute in the end of it as
Oh,
well.
yeah.
And this is what we call a mute, and it produces a different kind of sound. There's many different kinds of mutes. As you can see, I'm blowing some warm air in there, so this stays nice and firm in. But
Nice.
so
I think
yeah.
we unfortunately lost a little bit of the sound there.
Oh, sorry, sorry.
It's okay. It's okay. It's even more encouragement for everyone. If you haven't heard or seen Jay play, to go and see him or check him out on YouTube. So I think we can. It'd be really great if we could put up a video so you can see Jay in action, see what he looks like when he's with his band and playing to an audience. If we put up that video clip really quickly, that'd be great. Thank you.
This is Andre 3000's Spread.
That was awesome. It was really cool. You demonstrated so many different ways of playing before,
Mm.
and even in that short clip, we could hear so many different ways of playing there.
Mhm. Definitely. And that's a cover actually of a Andre 3000 song called Spread,
Yeah.
which is not an original composition of mine, but something that I took because I really enjoyed his drum groove. And I wanted to extend that drum groove into a different, what we call time signature. So usually music is in, not usually, but in Western music, we have 4/4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Well, that was in 9. So it's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4. So then you get a different sort of feeling and sway with the time,
Mm.
and it almost feels like it's never ending in a way. So that was the whole point with that one.
Yeah. That's another thing you can think about when you're performing, when you're composing. Like Jay said, we're used to kind of going 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, but you can experiment with, time signatures with 5, with 7, with 6, with 9, with 11, and there's other styles
Mm,
of music that do that so much more than what we kind of hear on the radio. Think about
mm.
like Hindustani music from India, which can go 13, 15, 17. It's just a totally different way of thinking about time.
And speaking of which, actually, Nate, if we think about those different cultures, like the Indian cultures or cultures from, music from Africa as well, is they're not generally thinking about things as 1, 2, 3, 4,
Mm.
even if it's in 7 or 9. What they actually think about is a strong, what they call a clave, or a rhythmical pattern that enables you to actually feel the groove. So, in fact, with that one, instead of going 1, 2, 3, I was thinking 2, 3, 4. Yeah, 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 yeah. You see what I mean? And then
Yeah,
if you only have that in your mind, then you can totally disregard the 1, 2, 3, 4, and then you're just actually in the music rather than counting the music.
ah. There's a whole new way of thinking about music, isn't it? It's not just about like 1, 2, 3. It's I think this word that we use, embody. So it's like you take
Hmm.
it inside yourself.
Hmm.
So it's not, you're not thinking about it, you're feeling it, right? And that's
Hmm.
like, we talked to Yolanda earlier about how she performs, and you see how she moves and she's feeling the music, and how
Hmm.
Sarah Jeffrey, how she feels the music, and the same with you. It's, you're doing the work somewhere it's happening, but you're not thinking, you're just feeling and just being in that moment.
That's
um
right.
I want to really, our time is going so fast. We have to do this another time, a bit longer next time, but really wanted to ask you, you've put out, you said 7 albums, which is
Mhm.
amazing. Can you tell us a little bit about your new one, because your new one's got a really um interesting connection with something
Mm.
else.
Okay, okay. Well, it's called The Now. Um, I don't know if you know about the many different sayings go, talk about the power of now. And so I felt that during this record. I really felt that this was not only a record for now and the times that we're in, but I really just was trying to feel the moment with the compositions, the way that I didn't actually linger too long on writing these compositions. They came out quite quickly, and I just felt this energy of now. And so that's how this album came together. Many of the different tracks have a different kind of stylistic feel as well. But I am a DJ now as well, so I've been listening to a lot of different music. One particular form of music is house music from Detroit, where it originated. And lots of that music actually stems from the African diaspora anyway, um, which we could get into another time, I'm sure. But that being said, I really felt the groove, the relentless groove, and trying to make something sort of almost feel like a march throughout.
Mm.
And so that's what a lot of the music on this new album kind of represents is this sort of ongoing kind of journey in a way, and which we all are kind of a part of it. When we take up this wonderful thing called music, we are all on this journey, this wonderful journey, and I just wanted to encapsulate that in a moment, and that's why this new one is called The Now.
So now, love it. We have a couple questions before we
Yeah.
have to go. One that's been asked by somebody. And the question is, how many songs have you written in your life?
Wow, I've never really thought about that. I would say it would exceed 40 or 50 at least.
Okay,
So
more than 40,
somewhere up
50.
there. But alongside that, on a side note, what I would say to go along with that is someone once told me this, and it really stuck in my mind and really helped me to learn how to compose. And that was, when you're young and you're learning about composition, or you're learning just about your own creative mind when it comes to music, one thing that you could do to really start expanding that creativity is write a little piece every day, even if it's one bar long, even if it's just all right, we have a song. You know what I mean? If you can write a little piece every day, you'll learn more and more about yourself, your creative mind, and how to put that creativity on paper and one day in front of someone to be able to play.
Nice, nice. That's really good advice. I have to think about that myself now. Before we go, do you have any, just a short words of advice, small words of advice for anyone, for any kids listening who maybe they play the trumpet or maybe they just want to be involved in music? Do you have any small words of advice that you could share?
Yeah, just enjoy it and be an individual, because at the end of the day, your soul is what speaks to you. And uh, you can listen to your peers, you can listen to the advice around you, to your parents, to your teachers. Of course, that's really good advice, probably, that you'll be having. But at the end of the day, when it comes to music and the arts, it's really about your soul and how you connect with it. So, really tap into yourself, listen to yourself, and enjoy. All right, everyone.
All
Thanks for
right.
coming through. It's been nice. Thank you so much, White Music Festival, for having me. See you
No
soon.
worries.
Thanks, Nate.
Take care.